So today on Future Cities Africa, I talk with Neil de Preez. He's the founder of MellowCabs. Neil, welcome. I'm intrigued. Where did you get the idea for the name MellowCabs?
Hi, Dan. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think the name actually came to me one night, believe it or not, in the bath, where my wife and I were joking around, and I'm quite a mellow person. So she actually then kind of misheard me. I said something about yellow cabs, and she heard mellow cabs. So that's how it came about.
And so tell us a bit more about your background and about MellowCabs.
My background is quite varied. Initially, I was involved in chemistry and agricultural chemistry as well. Spent a couple of years living abroad, trading in commodities and stuff. Came back to South Africa, dabbled in a few other commodity trading activities, and then eventually ended up designing the initial MellowCab, which was an electric micro vehicle for passenger transport, which we built, and they were quite successful. But then about 18 months ago, we realized the true value of the vehicle and the technology platform would be in cargo deliveries. So we moved away from passengers and started focusing exclusively on the cargo variant of our vehicle, which is now called the MellowVan. Our main client is DHL Africa, where we have vehicles across South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Namibia, Kenya, and we'll expand soon into some other markets like Nigeria, Mauritius, and a few others. Then Takealot, which is both Takealot and Mr. Delivery, where the vehicle is very interesting, where we do e-commerce deliveries during the day on the Takealot platform, and at night we're doing food deliveries on the Mr. Delivery platform. So it's a really optimal spread and use of our vehicle. Then we've just started a pilot project with Hungry Lion, which is the fastest growing fast food franchise in Africa. So we're looking at, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but we're looking at not only chicken deliveries, but selling chicken from our vehicle, which is quite an interesting scenario, especially in countries like Zambia, where we're seeing massive growth in fast food. And then, yeah, we're working with one or two of the big retailers now that's just launched applications and then delivery systems.
And how does MellowVans or MellowCabs impact daily lives in South Africa?
Okay, so MellowVans are delivery vehicles in essence, and with the global shift towards home delivery systems, MellowVans is ideally suited for that last mile, which is typically the most expensive and the hardest bridge to cross in the delivery system. So to answer your question practically, we deliver anything from post to dog food, to big screen TVs, to mobile phones, to pizzas, you name it, through our channel partners, which include couriers and e-commerce companies and restaurants and food delivery companies. Basically, we have delivered almost anything that can arrive at your front door.
We're currently living in an era of rapid digitization. What key technologies do you think we will see emerging out of this COVID-19 crisis if we look at mobility in general?
From the logistics side, I think a very interesting type of scenario is the contactless delivery system and how that's going to evolve quite a bit. We're going to see a massive increase in e-commerce, home deliveries, and that's going to range from your typical housewife not going to a brick and mortar store anymore, and instead opting for buying your daily household goods online and having it delivered, which is actually not a new phenomenon, but I think we're moving back to that system where milk and bread and your daily requirements will be delivered. And then from technology aspects, there's going to be quite a few spin-offs. I guess, again, there's focus on e-deliveries, optimizing that last mile with different technology platforms, different aggregators as well, optimizing delivery technologies and the delivery services. So I think something that's really interesting, especially in the logistics space and the last mile logistics space, is autonomous vehicles and how that's going to integrate to our cities. So everybody's aware that the technology is there, it's available, and we've seen some very good technology demonstrators. And the first market to really integrate autonomous vehicles will be logistics and deliveries because of obvious reasons. So I think that's going to be split up into smaller vehicles like ours, which will become autonomously driven very soon. The technology is already there. There's very few hurdles left before we can actually implement that. And I feel that that's a way more realistic thing to expect rather than drone deliveries, which is still faced with massive legislation problems and practicality problems. Just think about how crazy it would be if you had 1,000 drones flying over Stellenbosch, as example. We'd have massive privacy issues, air safety issues, and the biggest thing apparently with drones would be noise impact would be substantial. So yeah, I'm looking forward to formalizing self-driving technology into our vehicles in the next couple of years.
So have you started with that? Is it just a thought at the moment, or have you actually started to look at ways of implementing it?
Yeah, it's actually quite easy to implement. The technology itself is existing. We in South Africa don't need to develop any of that technology. I think we'll soon be able to purchase self-driving technology and the hardware behind that on the open market. If you look at what some of the European universities, as example, ETH in Zurich, is doing with self-driving technology, it's unreal. There's self-driving or rather autonomous racing leagues in Europe, which just stupefies you how well these vehicles perform.
With regards to the last mile technologies, I think it does add to the safer city aspect where people can rather order these groceries, etc., online. So definitely don't have to go and stand in the queue where you can catch COVID. What is the biggest challenge that you think Africa must overcome to see a bright future for its citizens? I know it's a very general question, but if there's one big challenge that pops up.
It's a fantastic question, actually. My personal opinion, there's a few really easy solves that we need to implement. Stuff like empowering females, I think, is a massive thing in terms of education. Getting more females into engineering and entrepreneurship and building small businesses. As Africans, I think we're perfectly poised to grow. The continent now is facing enormous growth. And we can choose either donate the entire continent to the Far East and all of our resources going to China and the likes of those, or make it work for ourselves. And I think that begins from the ground up. Small entrepreneurship is key. Self-sustaining environments where we move not only from small agriculture, but small businesses catering for local communities, connected by technology and the opportunities that technology and mobile phones and the rise of mobile phones and smart technology is now bringing in Africa.
Has your vision of cities in Africa and in South Africa changed from the current situation that we're in? Is it a scary picture that you see going forward, or is it an optimistic picture?
Yeah, again, that's quite an interesting question. Personally, for somebody, I've lived in China and I've seen how real high density cities operate in a Chinese type of scenario. Plus, I've been to India many times and I've seen how they operate. And then if you compare it to Africa and the challenges we face, I guess it's very similar. We're just lacking in a few fields. A big one is education. And I have to stress, entrepreneurship and a manufacturing type mindset, where Africans generally don't manufacture things, we import things, and that shouldn't be like that. We have resources, we have the workforce, and there's definitely the skill set available in Southern Africa to develop more manufacturing entities. And I think that's actually something that South Africa had going for itself in the 70s and 80s. We used to manufacture quite a bit. And that was a product of being isolated to a certain extent, but also a type of our South African mentality where we went out and historically made stuff. Now we don't anymore, and I think that's a pity.
So how do we get to this more manufacturing locally? What needs to happen? Who needs to make the right decisions?
Firstly, education, man. I think a huge focus must be on engineering and science. We can't raise a generation of music stars. We need to focus on getting people through engineering degrees, getting females into engineering, and getting entrepreneurship and business basics into schools as well. It doesn't help. Even with the engineering degree, nobody knows how to set up a business, what the basics are. And I think that those basic business skills need to be incorporated into our school syllabus from a young age, and it needs to be taught. Accounting and the legal aspects of running a business is also super important, and that's basically skipped out. You need to do a specific degree to learn about a business, and that shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, I think it's not just a local problem, but a global problem. I heard on Elon Musk on the Joe Rogan show said too many smart people are in finance and engineers and not enough people making stuff.